Step 1. What is important for any wannabe director? If you are serious about directing, then you have to get good at the craft of directing. That means study, either online or from books, and practice. The bottom line is, you have to be directing and making films. So until you get good enough for people to pay you, you have to be busy making low-budget projects of your own so that you can start figuring out what works and what doesn't, and what you are good at. You also have to start understanding how the business works. And finally, you have to develop your contacts and be liked. It's true that some of the very best and most famous directors have a reputation for being egotistical and difficult to work with. But you can bet your bottom dollar that they all know how to get on with the producers and companies that hire them. Every successful director will have had their own unique rise to the top, but they all share common principles, and there are also a few key methods that recur time and time again in the histories of successful directors. The two most prevalent and important techniques are developing your skills and craft no matter what. That directors who just get out there and create their own work, honing their craft until they're good enough to be noticed. And networking your way up and into the industry. Some directors are good at both, but all have at least one of these two techniques honed to a T. Historically, the most common routes to becoming a successful director that we see time and time again are as follows. Study film, either through a series of online filmmaking courses or attending film school, and then applying to work as a production assistant in a production company or broadcaster, and then working your way up from company to company until you get your big break. Or directing short films and then getting a job at a TV production company on the strength of the quality of your shorts. Or working as a runner on other people's shorts and features, and working your way up through the industry as a freelancer. Or becoming an actor, and through your contacts and relationships, getting a break as a director. The last common route is to work as a production assistant, and then as a producer, and to get an insight into directing and the creative side of filmmaking over time, till you have the ability, confidence, and network of crew to direct your own film. When it comes to working in another film role before becoming a director, the two most common roles are editing and producing, followed closely by camera operating and being a first AD. Although many directors are also writer-directors, it is actually more rare for a pure writer to transition into directing. Finally, and it must be mentioned, some people become directors because they or their parents are rich and they can afford to simply go straight into directing self-funded films. Develop your network. You have probably heard that to get high-profile directing jobs, you need to develop your network. Even once you have a good network and a steady flow of work from that network, it is important to be mindful of the fact that you will still need to work hard at maintaining your connections and using your networking and interpersonal skills to keep your relationship strong. It is particularly important to work on maintaining your relationships in the current climate, where there are so many directors competing for work and competing for contacts. The last thing you want is to have spent time and effort developing a relationship with a contact, only to find that they have started to work more with some other new director who is cleverly manoeuvred into your territory. So keep in touch with people without being intrusive. One of the best ways to keep in touch is to send them your latest work, or at least extracts of your latest work. Another very effective way to keep in touch is to invite your contacts to events that you have been invited to or are attending that you think that they will enjoy. Even if they decline your invitation, they will thank you for it and you will certainly have earned credit with them for thinking of them. Invites are also very effective because you then come across as a giver, someone who is coming to them with a gift, not as someone who is always coming to them with a begging bowl asking for work. Think of other ways you can personally give them something or somewhere that you can invite them. Depending on your personal interests or lifestyle, there may be a whole host of things that you can use to develop your contacts. For example, you may be a tennis fan and able to get discounted tickets for major society events on the tennis tour. That's exactly the kind of invite a producer at an ad agency or a marketing manager at a big corporation would be flattered to receive. Write a killer spot or script. You may have heard how in the feature film industry, wannabe directors write great scripts, which they can then take to studios on the understanding that they will get to direct their own script. This is how a number of directors got their big break into directing. You may therefore be tempted to think the same technique could be used to start a career directing commercials or corporate videos. Well, in principle, this should work. But the problem is, if you try to write a spot for an agency or the marketing department of a major brand, then you'll have to be mindful of the fact that you will be competing against professional and often precociously gifted copywriters. Copywriters who write spots for TV ads are literally immersed in that world. They will have countless ideas and scripts and countless backup ideas and scripts, many of which may already have been rejected by the producers who have seen them. We wouldn't say don't try and write an ad spot, but we would certainly point out the above so that you know what you are up against if you decide to take that route. What we would suggest, however, as a practical and very workable alternative, is to form an alliance or working relationship with a copywriter and work with them as a team to create work together in the hope that both of you will benefit with the subsequent work. Going down this route will give you an added advantage of having a colleague and partner to support you in your journey.